Welcome to a chilling journey into the mind of Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee cannibal. Between 1978 and 1991, Dahmer committed 17 gruesome murders, leaving a trail of horror. Each life extinguished, a stark reminder of human darkness. Join me as we retrace Dahmer's steps and uncover the details of his crimes. Our grim tale begins in 1978 in the seemingly tranquil suburbs of Ohio. Stephen Hicks, a hitchhiker with a hopeful heart, became Dahmer's first victim. Lured to Dahmer's home with the promise of companionship and alcohol, Hicks had no inkling of his fate. Dahmer bludgeoned Hicks with a dumbbell, dismembered his body, and dissolved it in acid, a macabre ritual that would become a hallmark of his future crimes. In 1987, Dahmer's dark urges resurfaced, leading to the murder of Stephen Tuomi. Lured to a hotel room, Tuomi was found dead the next morning, his body bearing marks of Dahmer's gruesome handiwork. Once again, dismemberment and disposal followed, a desperate attempt to erase evidence of a monstrous act. In 1988, James Doxtator, a young man barely out of his teens, was lured to Dahmer's apartment with the promise of money. Inside, Dahmer's true nature revealed itself in a torrent of violence, extinguishing Doxtator's life. His body was dismembered and disposed of like garbage, a testament to Dahmer's depravity. Richard Guerrero, a young man full of life, became Dahmer's fourth victim in 1988. Drawn in by Dahmer's facade of normalcy, Guerrero was drugged and strangled, his life choked out within the walls of Dahmer's apartment. Dahmer photographed Guerrero's body, attempting to preserve parts of his remains, growing more brazen. In 1989, Anthony Sears became another victim, lured to Dahmer's apartment and drugged. Sears's body was dismembered and bleached, a desperate attempt to erase the evidence. But the stench of death lingered, a reminder of the darkness in Dahmer's soul. Edward Smith, a man with a troubled past, crossed paths with Dahmer in 1990. Smith, seeking solace, was easy prey for Dahmer, who offered him a night of escape. Smith's body was dismembered and dissolved in acid, a gruesome ritual repeated chillingly. In 1990, Ernest Miller, a young aspiring dancer, became Dahmer's next victim. Lured to Dahmer's apartment, his future was extinguished in a brutal act of violence. Miller's body was dismembered, his skull kept as a grisly trophy. David Thomas, a young man struggling to find his place, became Dahmer's eighth victim in 1990. Enticed by the promise of companionship and alcohol, Thomas was unaware of the danger. His body was dismembered, discarded like trash, a testament to Dahmer's disregard for human life. In 1991, Curtis Straughter became another victim in Dahmer's reign of terror. Straughter, a young man with a promising future, was lured to Dahmer's apartment and killed. His dismembered remains were kept as trophies, reflecting the horrifying reality of Dahmer's crimes. Tony Hughes, a deaf man who communicated through sign language, became Dahmer's 10th victim in 1991. Drawn in by Dahmer's false promises of friendship, Hughes was drugged and strangled, his life extinguished in a horrific act of cruelty. Hughes's family, desperate for answers, would later learn the horrifying truth about their loved one's fate. Konarak Sinthasamphone, a young boy of 14, became another victim of Dahmer's depravity in 1991. Lured to Dahmer's apartment, he was drugged, photographed, and subjected to horrors. Tragically, his pleas were ignored by police, sealing his fate. Jeffrey Dahmer's terror ended in 1991 when Tracy Edwards escaped and alerted the police. Dahmer confessed to 17 murders and was sentenced to life in prison. He was killed by a fellow inmate in 1994, bringing little solace to his victims' families. Dahmer's crimes remain some of the most horrifying in American history. a chilling reminder of hidden darkness.